obviously, one of the very first provisions that that we're going to kind of talk about, I want to bring up, is this registration requirement. Okay, one of the things that it's this really nice small clause at the end of a sentence, which I love that they always do these in laws like this. But it says, they want to know the make, model, serial number. Okay, they already get that when you purchase it. The identity of the owner of the firearm. If you're going to buy it legitimately, they're going to get that anyways. The date, well, it's on the federal application that you have to fill out now.
Right.
But the next piece is then where the firearm is or will be stored.
Right.
So are you saying that, the federal government is now going to have a map that says, hey, you know what? Sam has firearms in his bedroom in a biometric safe that's underneath his bed. He also has a gun closet where the majority of the arrest weapons. I mean, it's just it's insane that the federal government
insane
wants
overreach.
to have. Yes, I mean, extreme overreach.
And look,
Something that hopefully they never would get.
You and I have both litigated cases where there have been potential, gun issues where you have people that are gun owners and they're maybe off the deep end or things like that. I had to store 150 guns in my office one time because that's what the judge ordered until we could get a case resolved because there was an agreed protective order involved. And, there's ways to protect. If you believe someone is truly a risk, then there are ways, through the state courts and through, to prevent, possession of firearms. I mean, I think this. Oh, and let's get into this more because then you're talking about also gun owners would have to pay insurance for the guns.
That's where I was going next. Yeah, I bet that policy is going to be super cheap.
Right, and then you can't have, like I said, you can't own anything larger, anything 50 caliber or greater. So, that's completely illegal. What about if you already own a gun? It gives the U.S. Attorney General and the ATF jurisdictions over licensing and over the guns, over your guns and licensing. It just seems to me that this is like a kind of a Trojan horse for a further gun of, okay, well, we know your gun's in the living room closet, so go to the living room closet, turn over your gun and bring it up to the porch and we're taking it. This is a mandatory buyback. I've heard, rumors of not rumors, but talk of a mandatory gun buyback and things like that's further on down the road. But I think this is a Trojan horse towards that, in my opinion.
And I mean, we've had this is an ongoing discussion, I mean, obviously we've had this discussion, you and I, about, laws are passed for the people who follow them, not for the people who don't. And so, this type of, law, in my opinion, is, directed at individuals really who are on the fence about maybe having firearms, right? Because if you looked at it and you said, I have to take a psychological evaluation, even if you're totally sane, that's a pain in the ass. I have to keep an insurance policy. And so, these are prohibitive measures, I think, to kind of dissuade the people who are on the fence about potential gun ownership. And then on the flip side,
I can't go deer hunting this year because I didn't pass my psychological evaluation, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Not only that, brother, but like, hey, times are tough. And so what about the individual out there who inherited a weapon, but, doesn't make a lot of money, is living, hand to mouth. And so you're looking at, well, hey, I can either have an insurance policy so that I can own a weapon to protect my family, or I can just give it up because I don't have that extra money to spend on a monthly basis on an insurance policy because who knows how much those are. And so, yeah, I'm not going to do it. These are things.
Do you have any antique guns, Sam?
Oh, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, I saw that.
Or something that might be displayed displayed in your home.
Yeah,
that would require let's say you never shot that gun. Let's say you had a flintlock, from the Revolutionary War, or a musket. I'm sorry, from the from the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, whatever. And you'd have to have a license to have your flintlock.
Yeah, I got my grandfather's, black powder. I've got, my great grandfather's, old Winchester. So, these are things that, they're not going to be fired, but they are on display just for the history of, what went on within the family,
right,
and what they mean to us. And so, you're going to have a license for that as well.
We have a gun. We have a gun in the family that's not an automatic weapon. It went to World War I with my great grandfather. And, you're going to have a license for that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Not only that, Brian, but a big part of this too is, let's say, because obviously, they want to talk about, what's a, military style weapon. Well, obviously our AR-15s are going to be military style weapons, right? These are things that,
But
they're
it's
going to
such a
want to know. You're
broad,
going
it's
to
a
have to,
broad brush you're painting with. They're
oh, not
talking
only that.
about semi-automatic rifles, handguns, as well as some shotguns. Anything that can get under an umbrella of military style weapons. What does that even
Oh yeah.
mean? I mean,
Well,
military weapons are typically weapons you can't get. You and the normal person can't get. So
right. I mean, but so let's say it's got a folding stock or a pistol grip. Well, they consider that a military style. If it's semi-automatic, but it's a semi-automatic version of a fully automatic weapon. So, that contain that in and of itself, that particular term, that encompasses a whole lot of firearms that are out there that are people in possession of. The ability to accept a detachable magazine. I mean, a fixed magazine capacity in excess of 5 rounds. Well, that's a mini 14. I mean, this is a weapon that I hunted with as a kid since I was
right.
12. Do you know what I mean? So that's not while
And then
could it
nobody in the
be?
military is going to want to use an AR-15 in the military. They got access to way better stuff than that.
Right. So, I mean, these are the kinds of things that it makes it extremely difficult for somebody, one, in my opinion, to be compliant. But two, it's really designed not to allow people to have them, but to dissuade them from having them. And then potentially if you're like, well, hey, you know what, I'm going to be non-compliant, it sure gives you, the ability to be in a whole lot of trouble, based on not having your insurance policy because you couldn't pay it that month.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed the Top Texas Lawyers podcast. If you would like a consultation with either Brian or Sam, please call 1-888-981-7509 or visit us on the web at astxlegal.com. Once again, that's astxlegal.com. Thank you very much.